Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our webcast this evening, Truly Moving Train Journeys with Rocky Mountaineer. My name's Brian Murray, the Director of Travel here at AAA, and I'm delighted that you chose to spend some time with us this evening to hear about the wonderful destination of Canada via Rocky Mountaineer Rail. We have a great program planned for you this evening. Before we get started, I want to mention that you are all in listen-only mode. However, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them in the question panel on your screen, and we'll entertain the questions at the end of the program. Additionally, you'll hear about some savings and offers that Rocky Mountaineer has. We at AAA are offering an additional $100 savings on any new booking for 2021 that is booked between now and the 15th of October. So unfortunately, the Alaska rail season due to the pandemic was literally canceled and didn't happen. So there is pent-up demand for people to see the beautiful Canadian Rockies, and to paint a great picture of it this evening, we have Tim Palmer, the Business Development Manager with Rocky Mountaineer. So without further ado, Tim, thanks so much for joining us, and take it away.
Brian, thank you so much. You know, one thing I think about when I think of AAA is we don't get to choose our club. All of our clubs are designated with the proximity of where we live. And, you know, the folks that live in Western Central New York are very blessed to be able to work with your club, Brian. By far, one of the best group of travel agents I've had the opportunity to work with. And it all stems, obviously, from your great leadership. So thank you for everything you do. And folks, you are very, very lucky to have Western Central New York as your AAA club. So without further ado, again, my name is Tim Palmer, here to talk about Rocky Mountaineer. And we are in our 30th anniversary year, 2020. What a year to have a 30th anniversary. Well, we were founded by Peter Armstrong. Peter founded us in 1990. First trip was May 27th, 1990. And Peter's whole vision was to connect Vancouver out to the Canadian Rockies via train. And the key element that Peter really wanted to hit home was that this was an all daylight travel experience, meaning that you do not sleep overnight on the train, you do sleep in a hotel, and you travel by train during the day to see the beautiful scenery. So he knew immediately that this scenery was going to be a winner in getting into these remote locations of British Columbia and Alberta. Peter also knew the importance of having a host on board. That host is a storyteller. You have a mile marker map that you're following along the route, and they're giving you tidbits and history of the mile markers that we're passing, the towns that we're going by. They're also handing out complimentary alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages throughout the day. So when you think about what is included on the train, there's virtually zero out-of-pocket expenses while you're on the train exploring this region. So what does that also mean? Well, the culinary experience on the train must be outstanding. So Peter's vision included wonderful scenery, a great host, complimentary drinks, as well as meals, and meals that really capture the essence of the area. So after 30 years, we feel that Peter's vision definitely has come to fruition, and it's now experienced the extraordinary. It is a wonderful trip, and I confuse people a little bit when I talk about Rocky Mountaineer. So as I go through the presentation today, and you're thinking about, well, perhaps someday I'll make this one of my travel destinations, you would want to think about these 4 steps: the rail route, service levels, seasonality, and then your package. And I really focus on the rail route. You know, I mentioned that we're linking Vancouver out to the Canadian Rockies. Where exactly am I? I'm in British Columbia, Alberta. This is the Pacific Northwest. And you are looking at a map of our 3 routes that connect Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff onto Vancouver. The green dotted line you see on the map, that is the Icefields Parkway. We do not take the train on that. When we explore the Canadian Rockies, You're seeing that more by car or by motor coach. The main focus are our 3 routes. We have First Passage to the West. This is a route that connects Lake Louise and Banff to Vancouver with an overnight stay in Kamloops. The next 2 routes we have both connect Vancouver and Jasper. So you see here, Journey Through the Clouds. This is another 2-day train route that connects Jasper to Vancouver via Kamloops. But then we have a 3-day train route as well. So linking Jasper to Vancouver through Quesnel, that is the hot spot of the gold rush region of British Columbia, booming metropolis of about 12,000 people, and then on to Whistler, home to the Winter Olympics, definitely a destination we're all familiar with. And then if you're a true train enthusiast and you want to get more days on the train, you may do what we call a circle journey. This is where you combine 2 of our routes together. But even at that point, the most amount of days you'd be able to do would be 5 days on the train, and most people aren't coming out to British Columbia and Alberta for only 2 or 3 or 5 days on a train. So we use these train routes as our base to build a more robust itinerary. So this is the key experience to it, and then from there we add on nights. But I digress a little. I want to share a little bit more about service levels before I get into package. So again, these are your 3 routes, really deciding, do I want to go all the way up to Jasper, or is Lake Louise and Banff enough? But then we want to talk about service levels. So when I think about service levels, I can immediately think about what a 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star hotel is and how they differ. The Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise in the upper left-hand corner, it's a phenomenal 5-star property, but we do have some contracts there that you might be able to get a 4-star rate if you do a run of house room. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as well and explain what I mean by run of house. But what is the service level on the train? And this is where I want to focus first. So we have 2, the bi-level coach, which is the gold leaf, and the single level coach, which is silver leaf. They are very similar experiences, but different. And you can see one of the major differences. Well, the gold leaf is upstairs, downstairs, and the silver leaf is a single level by definition there. But you both get this great, beautiful windows. You have phenomenal cuisine. You have hosts on board that are doing that storytelling. Whether you're looking out of a gold leaf window or a silver leaf window, you are getting a similar experience. In the silver leaf coach class, this is a 14-foot high train car, and the inside says it all because the interior is really focused on looking outside, but in a comfort leisure style. So we have about 56 total seats on the Silverleaf train car. They're not all filled generally, maybe closer to 50 or so. And I love this photo here. It really gives a better image of the space you have while on the train. You can see that there's electric plugs at each of the seats as well. Just a really good overall comfortable feeling. But as you've noticed, I've said it a couple of times, this is a single level coach. That does mean that you are having your meal service at your seat. So we have a hot breakfast and a hot lunch both days that you're on the train, or 3 days that you're on the train. You can see this is lunch, and they're getting their 3rd course, a beautiful cheesecake dessert. So again, you have a lot of similarities, but there is some glaring differences when you look at the bi-level gold leaf coach here. The dining downstairs, the outdoor viewing platform definitely make a difference. And just the beauty of it, having that size really does bring your eyes to the train, and the nice sleek lines that are painted on. It's just an overall very nice, warming experience on Gold Leaf. So where would you have your assigned seat for your 2 days in Gold Leaf? That's the upstairs dome. There are 72 total seats in the Gold Leaf upstairs dome. To get downstairs, there is a spiral staircase or a single person elevator. When you do get downstairs, you now have white linen tablecloth dining. Excuse me. You're ordering off of a menu that now has 8 different choices. In Silverleaf, you are limited typically to 2 choices off of their menu. So here now you have a full menu, and the food is prepared right there in the kitchen galley. So if you do want a temperature on your steak or your eggs runny, by all means, we can adhere to something like that. But the best part of the gold leaf experience to me is being able to get outside. There is a small viewing platform that is on the Silverleaf train car. I'll point that out momentarily. But being able to get outside, have that upstairs, you really do have a different spatial experience when on gold leaf. But again, I think Silverleaf has exceeded my expectations every time. And my expectations keep getting higher because I've been on it so many times. Gold leaf is definitely meeting my expectations and continues to meet my expectations. So you might be saying, well, what do we do on a train throughout the day? How long are we on the train? And what speed are we traveling at? So let me see if I can cover some of those thoughts as well. The upper left-hand corner, that picture is an early morning departure out of our train station. You can see the sun coming up over the train. The wheels on the train generally start rolling no later than 8 a.m. There are some mornings that it might be 7 a.m. Food service starts immediately. You're having breakfast on the train. You're all going to be hungry, so we do start that. Gold leaf, we will have 2 seatings. We split that up. If you're seating 1 on day 1, you'd be seating 2 on day 2. You can see the host there with the microphone. It is a host per train car. You are not going to have one announcement that goes through the entire consist. Your host is individually to your own car. They're going to read the room. They're going to understand, what more do they have to say? Do they have to sit perhaps right next to you and share some of that information? And then, of course, beautiful sightseeing throughout the day and an overnight stay in your hotel. So here is kind of a actual version of that. And before I go too far, I just talked about Silverleaf having an outdoor viewing platform as well. And I shouldn't say platform, it's more of a farmer's door. You're looking at 2 of our Silverleaf train cars right here. In the very back of this, you see the door that has the top open. This is where you have an opportunity to poke your camera out of the Silverleaf train car and be able to get a picture coming around the bend. But throughout the day, we're generally traveling about 30 miles an hour. We are covering 300 miles. So that tends to be about a 10-hour day. We are going to slow down to Kodak speed, if you will. That's where we go to 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, go past a section like Hell's Gate right here. And this also reminds me, you can see the rushing water, the beautiful greenery. We are traveling from the rainforest region of Vancouver through the mountains of the Canadian Rockies, but we don't go through the mountains before we get through an arid desert. So you have rainforest, you have desert, and you have high alpine. Quite the contrast as you're whipping through this destination. When you get to the desert region, the topography changes, the wildlife changes. You can see bighorn sheep here on your screen. You do have some great rivers and lakes. They're not quite the same color you're going to see when you get to the glacial lakes of the Canadian Rockies. They have that aquamarine, so we're still dealing with a deep blue lake here. You have little goats that are on the side of the mountains prancing all about, and as well little other varmints and animals, all eagles, osprey. It really is a unique experience contrasting from that of the rest of the trip. And I don't think a lot of people realize what they're going to see in central British Columbia. Now, regardless of where you're seating, we're always looking for wildlife, and the hosts have their walkie-talkies on. So you'll hear through the walkie-talkie that there's going to be a moose on the right or a black bear on the left. And hopefully you'll be able to get a glimpse of that. We'll slow down and be able to get some animal shots from the train itself. I've had a lot of luck. I've seen a black bear every time. I've seen grizzly several times. The moose is still pretty elusive. But, I'm a New Englander. I've seen plenty of moose throughout my day. But definitely an abundance of animals are seen directly from the train. But you also have other beautiful vistas. Pyramid Falls, this would be another location which will slow down to that Kodak speed, get a nice picture in. And as the season changes, so doesn't the scenery. You see Mount Robson getting into the fall time period, starting to get a nice dusting of snow on top. You'll also see that dusting of snow on Mount Robson through May, June, maybe even into early July as well. It is the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies. So what you do on the train, lots of excitement, overnighting in a hotel. You think about your different routes. Am I going up to Jasper? And then you think about seasonality. We typically start our trips in mid-April. This coming year, 2021, we are going to start the very last week of April, and we're going to go through the first week of October. Spring in Vancouver is cherry blossoms and flowers and beautiful environment. Spring in the Canadian Rockies is still snow, ice, and perhaps moms and babies coming out and visiting the world for the first time. So spring can be very rewarding. It's the awakening of winter, so to speak. But you also want to think about summer. So the ice in Lake Louise is in the lake all the way typically until the very end of May, if not June 1st. So summer starts in earnest June 1st, goes through July and August, and autumn starts definitely September 1st. And if you're traveling into October, you will see that change come even more drastic, and you'll start to see the snow top the mountains, the leaves fall from the trees, and you still get the ice-free lakes and rivers. We are starting to see that August and September are becoming our most popular times. So if that's a time of year that you're thinking about, you may want to make your reservation earlier than you may think you need to. But phenomenal experiences nonetheless. And obviously in the heart of the summer, you get those nice long days where you could have the sun up until at least 11 o'clock at night. So that is, again, the train routes. That is the base of our itinerary. But you again would not come up to the Canadian Rockies just for 2 days on our train. And if you would, well, that's very nice of you. But there's so much more to do and see. It would be a shame if you did it just there. So we have a lot of partners throughout the region that we have developed these wonderful packages already designed for you. You do have a chance to personalize, customize these packages. They're not just cookie cutter itineraries, but at the same time, we want to make sure that you are seeing the best of the destination. So when I think about the train routes, again, I mentioned First Passage to the West. That is one of our routes. Well, this is First Passage to the West at leisure, the full package. You now have an 8-day trip, 7 days in hotels or 7 nights in hotels, 2 days on the train. You can start in Calgary, end in Vancouver, start in Vancouver, end in Calgary. You have a lot of great sightseeing. You have transfers included. You have hotel accommodations included, all at a level that you can somewhat personalize. And what I mean by that is you could take Gold Leaf service on the train and then stay in 4-star hotels while you're in town. You could take the 4-star Silverleaf service on the train and then upgrade to 5-star hotels. You can mix and match and play with it to meet your budget. A trip like this would range between $3,500 and $4,500 depending on service level. Well, I mentioned earlier that you also have a Circle journey that you could take. The Circle journey here is a 13-day trip, all 12 nights in a hotel. The numbers on the screen are the amount of nights that you would stay in a hotel. So 3 nights Banff, 3 nights Lake Louise, 2 nights Lake Louise, 2 nights Jasper. That is a very leisure pace, exploring the Icefields Parkway. Lots of time independently, but even better yet, lots of already great inclusions. This would start closer to the $5,000 mark and might go up to $7,500 or so, depending again on service level, both hotels and the train experience. And I probably should have made that screen a little bit larger a second ago. But there you can see the full depth of it with 5 days on the train, exploring pretty much everything that we touch at this time. So I mentioned that you are going to get off the train, especially when we get to the Icefields Parkway, that green dotted line. Want to make sure you get out and see all of it. Majority of people are doing that by motor coach with us. We have a partnership with Brewster Sightseeing, but we also have a partnership where you could do this as a rental car. Go at your own pace. Avis Rental Car has locations in both Jasper and Banff. where you could pick your car up. We could still set up your sightseeing, but again, going at your own pace or doing it yourself versus being on a motor coach. I personally prefer the motor coach experience. Don't have to think, get to see as much as possible and really enjoy everything. But it's not just the Icefields Parkway. It's not just Jasper, Lake Louise, Banff. You also have to think about Vancouver. You have to think about Calgary. And Vancouver, to me, what a beautiful shot this is. Stanley Park, you have the bridge going off to North Vancouver, looking at the mountains. You have the downtown atmosphere of Vancouver itself. And just a short way over that bridge into North Vancouver, you have the Capilano Suspension Bridge. You have Grouse Mountain. All around Stanley Park in Vancouver, you have this great seawall that you can do walks and bike rides on, perhaps go out for a flight scene experience. There is so much to do in Vancouver. Please don't go just for a single night. 2 or 3 nights would be a great experience. And even, as we look at the far left side of the screen here, that's Granville Island. You have the public market. I could spend an entire day just in Granville Island in the markets. Wonderful destination. 2 or 3 nights would be my suggestion. But that's not all you have to decide on when it comes to the route. You do have to decide, am I going to go up to Jasper, or again, is Banff Lake Louise enough for me? What am I going to get if I go all the way up to Jasper? You are going to get more mountains, more lakes, more waterfalls, more opportunities for wildlife. Not saying that you're not going to get all of that in Banff and Lake Louise, but if you really want to be engulfed in this destination, you're looking at Malign Lake and Spirit Island in that top picture. Just an overall beautiful destination. I do think there's similar experiences. How many days do you have? How much is your budget for the destination? That may also help deciding, do I include Jasper? Regardless, you can get up to the Columbia Icefields, go on Athabasca Glacier via the Ice Explorer, the snow coach here. Just a ride on one of these snow coaches is worth the price of admission. The wheels are 5 feet tall. They're over $4,000 each. Learning about these unique vehicles was a lot of fun, but then stepping off of them and being on almost 2,000 feet of ice, the blue ice is slippery. Be careful of the blue ice. Everything else you can obviously get around on. And you guys are hardy. You get some snow and ice throughout the winter. I think you could be aware of that. But what a great inclusion this is on one of our packages. But as we look at Moraine Lake, Valley of the 10 Peaks, if this picture doesn't get your jaw open, your camera, ready to be snapped, I don't know what does. This is beautiful. The coloration of the water, a little bit different than outside of Kamloops in those rivers that we saw. So the coloration is because of the glacial silt or rock flour. When it gets into the water, it never quite settles, and you get this beautiful blue reflection. I spoke about wildlife on the train. Well, there's also an abundance of wildlife off of the train. Matter of fact, I've never seen such a concentrated amount of animals in any destination that I've traveled to in the world. I've done all of Alaska, and the Canadian Rockies are by far the wildlife, experts when it comes to it. Just a great experience. So spring's going to be different than the fall period. In fall, you're going to have the male elk and moose doing their rut. You can see, beautiful fall colors in the background. Best time to definitely see the male elks into the valley regions. You'll probably even see them into Banff as well. These look like a docile animal, but please keep your distance. Matter of fact, keep your distance from all of the animals up there. They do best, foraging for food on their own. Don't need any assistance from us, the humans. So wildlife's great. You get beautiful national parks. Here we are at Lake Louise, but we also have some iconic hotel properties. And Fairmont Lake Louise is definitely one of those iconic hotels. So I mentioned earlier that this is a 5-star property. There are opportunities to bring the price point down, and I mentioned something called run of house. When you book a standard room with Rocky Mountaineer, we're going to book you into run of house, meaning that you've requested 2 queen beds or you've requested 1 king size bed. Well, other than that, that's all the hotel is going to adhere to. They're not going to put you lakefront. You may be looking out the back of the hotel at a pine tree, but you did save maybe $200 or $300. If you do want that lake view room in a deluxe category, we have that contract as well. So we really can play with whichever style you like. I have woken up looking out over the lake, opening my blinds in my room at Chateau Lake Louise, and I will say it changed my day a little bit. So if you do have the means to do that, well worth the experience. Now, when you are staying at Lake Louise, whether it be 1 or 2 nights, you're somewhat stranded within the resort compound. So your meals will be at Lake Louise. Your experiences may be around the lake. There's some great hiking opportunities that you have here. But if you can see the front of the hotel right on the lakefront, there's also wonderful gardens, great areas to walk around. It really is a nice experience exploring Lake Louise. But Banff is my favorite of all of the villages up and down the Icefields Parkway. Banff might only have 10 or 12,000 people in their low season. When they really get into a high season, it balloons up to a town of about 40,000. You have many different restaurants. You have phenomenal shopping. The restaurants, you have everything from a Greek place to a fondue to a proper steakhouse to an Irish restaurant. I mean, it just goes on and on. But again, you're right in Banff National Park. So you're in the heart of this beautiful location, little footbridges all throughout, going right over the Bow River. Banff is also well known for its hot springs. And one of their hot springs has this great pool atmosphere as well. This is not a hotel pool by any means. This is a hot spring coming in about 102 degrees or so. So depending on the seasonality that you're up there, you might get it a little bit warmer, not typically any colder than that. One of the properties that's in the Banff area is the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel. The Fairmont Banff Springs, definitely a delight. 5-star all throughout. It's an iconic hotel nonetheless. You know, just one that is unique and a definite, you know, experience that I guess would be one of more historic value, because we have another 5-star property that's just up the road from the Fairmont Banff Springs. That is the Rimrock Hotel. If you're more in for a modern 5-star experience, the Rimrock is your best choice. For me, however, I've stayed in both the Rimrock and the Fairmont Banff Springs. And the one thing I would say is I like to stay in the downtown atmosphere of Banff more. So the Mount Royal Hotel, the Elkin Avenue, the Moose Lodge, anything that's on the main strip of Banff is the property that I would want to stay at. Now, a nice sightseeing day that takes in this region would be visiting the Hoodoos. These are beautiful rock pillars that have eroded over the years, looking down over Bow River. We also have an experience going up on the Banff Gondola. The Banff Gondola takes you to the top of Sulphur Mountain. When you get to the top of Sulphur Mountain, you're at an elevation just about 7,000 feet, so altitude should not be a challenge. You have a beautiful visitor center, again, little pedestrian villages, walking areas all throughout. At 7,000 feet, though, I do prefer hanging out in an Adirondack chair. So this is where you'll probably catch me when I'm atop Sulphur Mountain. Now, outside of the beautiful, you know, Banff, Lake Louise, and Jasper, I mentioned that we have to think about Vancouver and Calgary. Calgary is a wonderful city. You have a Western feeling to it, a cowboy Western feeling to it, if you will. But it's a metropolis. There's not too much sightseeing. It's a foodie destination. And when I talk about the food, there's entire streets that are closed down to just outdoor restaurants, really unique experience. Here's another Fairmont property. This is the Palliser, right next to the Calgary Tower. The Calgary Tower, you can go up, beautiful sunsets taken from there, and you can see all the way out to the Rockies, as well as looking out over all that Calgary has to offer. So folks, when you put that all together, you really can come up with some very unique 6 to 13, 15-day packages. utilizing our train as the base experience. Now, unfortunately, 2020 wasn't the best season to have as our 30th anniversary. We did not run a single train in 2020. We are looking very much forward to 2021, and we have enhanced our different procedures. I'm not going to read through this one by one, but I will tell you that we are definitely doing enhanced sanitation. We're looking at different ways to limit cross movement throughout the train. So you'll continue to see ways that we've improved our safety, and your AAA travel agent would be the first to know what new changes we are making. Now, being a AAA member, you always get a member benefit when you travel. So the member benefit that you get when traveling with Rocky Mountaineer is a merchandise credit. Again, I said there's not too much that you can spend on the train. Well, we do have the opportunity to get some souvenirs, pretty unique souvenirs. These aren't just tchotchkes of a shirt with our logo on it. You actually have some nice artisan jewelry and other unique gifts that you could bring home. Perhaps a jade grizzly bear. Now, Brian had mentioned that we, they, AAA, are offering a $100 incentive for you to book. They're going to take $100 off of your booking as long as you do that through October 15th. And for Rocky Mountaineer, we're also doing a great perk. Now, one of the things that you can see on this screen is it's 4 free perks up to an $800 value. That does depend which package you're taking. It does have to be 8 days or more, but you could get 2 free hotel nights, a transfer from the airport, as well as a dinner at a hotel. If I'm going to take a dinner at a hotel, it's going to be Chateau Lake Louise, again, because I'm most likely stranded there. On the screen, it says September 30th. You will be the very first people to know. We're extending that to October 16th. So you don't have to be worried that you have to book tomorrow, but in order to get the $100 from AAA, as well as the best offer of the year, it only takes $25 Canadian as a deposit. And that's the very bottom of this right now. So through October 15th, because that is when AAA ends their promotion, if you put down $25, you will be able to confirm your booking. We're then going to ask for an additional deposit in November, and that additional deposit in November will be refundable up until 60 days after your deposit. So we're trying to give a little bit of ease on making a booking, putting it down, and then being able to make that decision at a later time if you're going to continue. I hope that you will. Now, I mentioned also working with your AAA travel agent. I get to do trainings with the AAA agents. They come on our train themselves. They experience the destination. They are in the know. When we're releasing new information, they know before you. So please work with your AAA travel agent. Find out what new opportunities there are coming up with Rocky Mountaineer. You never know what new products may come out in the upcoming months as well. So definitely some key opportunities to get the best deals in the industry while also working with the best travel agents in the industry. So folks, I would like to say thank you very much from Rocky Mountaineer and AAA. And if you don't know how to get in touch with your local club, it is but a call, click, or visit away. So they are having in-person appointments. You may want to call in advance, but calling is easy, 888-320-5631 or AAA.com/travel. Whew. All right, Brian, hopefully there's lots of questions. I can only imagine that I didn't fill everything in.
Well, you did a great job, Tim. Thank you. And I got to tell you, I'm ready and packed to go. So thank you. One of the questions that, and there were some questions that came in during the program about the promotions, which you covered. So thank you for that. And again, for anybody listening, our AAA travel consultants have experienced the product. We are open in our locations, but we're also doing virtual travel planning by a video conference. So from the comfort of your home, you can make an appointment with one of our travel consultants and, be on a video conference. We can, share brochures and pictures and have the latest and greatest in all the promotions. But Tim, could you remind everybody what is included on the train portion of the trip? I know you talked about meals and so forth, but some people have asked about out-of-pocket expenses and so forth during, the whole vacation.
Well, and that does make a lot of sense. The typical train experience, you'll pay a premium to get onto a train, but then everything else is still going to be an out-of-pocket expense. When traveling with Rocky Mountaineer, your 2 or 3 day train package is an all-inclusive, package. So while you're on the train, your meals are included. You're not going to have any additional out-of-pocket expenses. There's an abundance of snacks. We don't nickel and dime and charge you for snacks. The premium high-end spirits, beer and wine, as well as soft drinks, juice, coffee, tea, are all included. There is not a limit. I would assume there is a limit throughout the day, but we're not going to say, well, it's a 2-drink limit, 3-drink limit. Whatever you want throughout the day is included. Tipping, Brian, would be one of the few things that is going to be an out-of-pocket expense while on the train, and the purchase of souvenirs. So we take care of the purchase of souvenirs by your merchandise credit, but tipping in Silverleaf, it would be about $15 per day per person. And in Goldleaf, it would be $20 suggested per day per person. That is Canadian. So that's about the cost of a 6-pack or so.
Absolutely. That's great. No worries on that. And you have the host and the views and the wonderful food and drink. That's a terrific experience. And just to reiterate as well, so the transportation from the train to the accommodations are all taken care of as well. So it really is an effortless, seamless journey. So
I think people like the most is how we do our luggage as well. You get a transfer from your hotel in the morning, and your luggage may take a separate transfer. The reason your luggage will take a separate transfer is we put luggage onto a truck. It does not come on the train. So when you get to your in-between stop in Kamloops, your luggage was already transported. It's in the hotel room that you're going to have that night when the train pulls up. So logistically, it's done marvelous. When I think of out-of-pocket expenses, and I'm happy that this came up, on the trip itself, you still will have out-of-pocket expenses, but your AAA travel agent can help you minimize that. We can add on meal plans. When you're off of the train, there are no breakfast, dinner, lunches included. And if there are, it's because you're part of a sightseeing experience, such as going up to the Icefields Parkway on the Athabasca Glacier. There's typically a lunch maybe there. There may be something when we go to Heritage, what's that called? Heritage Park outside of Calgary. We have a lunch there as well. So there may be 1 or 2 lunches included, but typically breakfast at your hotel when you don't have train days, not going to be included. Dinner, not going to be included. So we can work with a meal plan on that. Outside of meals, many of our itineraries already have the full sightseeing included. So you wouldn't be adding on. So even if you didn't add meals, the only thing that you might have, and I would suggest it, you want to go explore Vancouver for the dinner. You want to explore Banff, Calgary, Jasper even for their meals. Lake Louise, we are stranded. Perhaps you do want to do some pre-ordered meals there and have it. But other than the meals at that point, maybe a transfer because the one transfer is already included, from the airport. But otherwise, you're absolutely right, Brian. Transfers from your hotel to the train, luggage handling, that's all included throughout the duration of the trip.
Well, it's a seamless experience and a great experience at that. You did a great job. Thank you, Tim. I don't see any other questions that came through, but I will share with everybody, as I say, our AAA travel consultants can really pick out the best journey for you and arrange those stays before and after, and give us a call. we're here to help you when you're ready to travel. And again, thank you all for being with us tonight. And Tim, thank you for a great job. Beautiful scenery, and we learned a lot. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.